If you're calling for the Disney tickets, keep calling, and then we'll let you know when it's time to call in for the show that's up next. It is 5 minutes after 9 o'clock. It's time for Winging It. See who's in the studio. Oh, Brad and Josh are in the studio. They're here from WOCA Aviation Flight School, and they're here to answer your questions about flying and about becoming a pilot, and maybe even about that money. What do you call that money again?
Scholarship?
Scholarship. I couldn't.
There you go.
The word escaped me, Brad. How you doing? Good morning.
I am doing well. How about you?
Good, good. We've been trying to make good on a promise to get some names into the fishbowl for the Disney giveaway. Are you familiar with the Disney giveaway we're doing?
You're giving away tickets for Disney.
Yes.
That's a lucky guess.
Yeah.
It's a fishbowl giveaway, though? Are you really giving a fishbowl from Disney, or is it...
Well, if your name is in the fishbowl, then on Monday we pick one name.
Okay.
And that person will win 2 tickets for a 3-day pass to any of the parks. And
okay,
and
like a park hopper.
Yeah, I think they're park hoppers, yeah.
Can I put my name in?
You can do it, yeah.
Where's the bowl?
It's out there.
Yes.
Good morning, how you doing?
Good. So I think we have tickets to give away, too, for Sun and Fun, right?
No.
When is Sun and Fun? This weekend?
It's right now.
Oh, it's happening
right
now?
Dan said he had a couple left.
No.
Oh, okay.
Apparently not.
Is that what he just told you?
So have you guys gone to it? When it started Tuesday, right?
He's going tomorrow.
I'm going tomorrow, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Is Saturday the biggest day of the whole event?
I don't know.
No, you don't.
Just the day that I got off of work.
Probably when the most people show up.
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
I wasn't allowed to go during the week.
No. And I was going to try and go yesterday, but just work got too busy.
Okay.
Oh. Work comes before that.
Is it like Bike Week for planes? You have a lot of planes in the area because of it?
Yes.
Yes.
Really? Do you see? Have you seen them flying over, heading down to it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
Sometimes they stop in Ocala and get information and that kind of thing. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did they ask for directions?
No. If they do, they've got some major issues, and they shouldn't be flying into there because it's not an easy fly-in.
Uh-huh.
Because it's different, isn't it, Josh?
It is different.
What's the most difficult airport you ever landed at?
Most difficult airport that I've ever landed at was probably a 800 or 900 foot dirt strip out in Arizona.
Why was it difficult?
Because it was so short.
So short.
It's 900 feet.
Yeah,
okay.
That's 900 feet. That's not very long.
Okay. Well, you see, I wouldn't know. So 900 feet sounds like a big area to me.
No, Ocala's airport or runway is 7,500 feet.
Oh, wow. That's a big difference.
Yeah. Yes.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yes. And
the quote-unquote short runway there is 2,400 feet.
Okay. And that's...
Where?
The short runway.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is. How long is it?
3,500? 3,700?
No, that was 25.
No. It is not less than 3,000.
So the long one, though, is short by other standards? Like by JFK standards or something like that?
Our long one is short?
Our long one is short by their standards, by other airport standards.
Yes.
And it also can't take the weight.
We're done. Okay, we're done taking phone calls for Disney right now, but we'll do it again later. Now, if you want to call Brad and Josh, this is a good time.
Oh, thank you. We got our own time now.
It just things overlap sometimes. It happens that way.
We understand.
Yeah. Are you?
How come so many people call for Disney tickets, but no one calls for our air show tickets?
I don't know.
Why don't you ask our listeners that?
I just did.
Okay.
So, but you have some more?
No.
Well, maybe that's why.
Well, we had like 4 or 6.
What happened?
That we were trying to give away.
Where are they?
They got given away.
So then people took them.
Yeah, but not on the air like we wanted them to.
Yeah, some.
Some.
Well, maybe it's a specialized thing.
It might be.
It is very specialized.
Everyone wants to go to Disney. Not everyone wants to go to an air show.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I tried to hype it a little bit for you last week.
Yeah.
We appreciate that. You did try.
I'm not a pilot or anything, but I did enjoy the one air show I've been to in my life. It was a great photo opportunity. I had an 8mm camera back in those days, so I was just a kid. You guys run your computer things. But
I was putting one on silent. I don't know what Brad's doing.
Oh, okay.
I'm looking up runways.
Because people tend to... I can tell you right now. Give me a second.
Look it up. Yeah, thank you.
Anyway, Josh has some announcements to make about something for this week.
Are you telling me there's a call waiting, Dan? Yes. Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. Okay.
We thought it was for Disney. Somebody's calling for us. Wow.
So it's the other line. Okay, I didn't know. I didn't see anything. And all right. Good morning. You're on there with Brad and Josh.
Good morning, Brad, Josh. right after World War One, and they had a lot of started a real flying craze because you could buy what they called a Jenny for less money than a car. But anyway, my father told me that when he was in Wisconsin, a pilot landed on the road in front of the house, came to the house and asked for directions.
Oh, wow.
So it has happened. I don't think it'll happen today, but it did happen back years ago.
I believe it, yeah. I said I believe it.
Yeah, it actually landed and asked for directions.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a book written about the early airmail pilots. That's all they did was fly carrying airmail. And in this article, or in the book itself, the story goes that the pilot landed on a field, went over to the farmer and asked which way to Kansas. So, I mean, it's been documented.
Yeah.
But I guess we've come a long way since then.
Definitely, yes, we have.
Okay, you guys have a good program, and what's the scoop with the tower? Still closing?
No, well, right now it's been extended until June. The FAA has held off all tower closures, I think because of all these lawsuits, and it was brought up that the FAA was going against their own policies, and so they decided to hold off so they could do more of an impact study and abide by their own rules. So as of right now, no towers are closing until June 15th.
Well, that's good news, and
yes.
I guess I don't know what it does for the fellas that are working there, other than extending the deadline. But I sure would like to see the tower stay open.
Yeah, absolutely, we would too.
Well, let's face it, guys. As far as I'm concerned, there's quite a lot. I saw quite a few jets and some relatively large planes in there over the past week.
Oh yeah, there's been quite a bit. Well, and you have the horse sales coming up again in 2 weeks, so we'll be busy again.
Well, that and with Sun and Fun, people going down to Sun and Fun.
I mean, that right there is should be an indicator that we need some kind of control, and we need that tower.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, guys.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thanks for a great program.
Thank you.
All right.
Well, and the point of what I was making with the directions to Sun and Fun is it's not, and I believe that people do get lost and that kind of thing, but with Sun and Fun, it's a very precise procedure that you are supposed to do to get into Lakeland during Sun and Fun. So if you don't know how to get there, that means you haven't looked at the procedure to get into the airport, and you shouldn't be going, was my point, because it's different than any other time you ever fly. I mean, they tell you not to talk on the radio, which is just abnormal.
Really?
Yeah,
yes.
they've got so many airplanes. What they have you do, I flew in last year, and the procedure is you fly to Lake Parker, which is just kind of northeast of Lakeland, and you're supposed to be at a certain speed, at a certain altitude, over a certain landmark power plant on the north side of the lake, going in the right direction, nose to tail with other aircraft, so single file, and you follow them.
Wow.
You go till you go straight east till you hit the highway. You follow the highway for a little bit, then turn straight south when you see two different landmarks. Go straight towards the airport, and then at the last, right as you're about to get to the airport, they'll say, "All right, white high-wing Cessna, land on the red dot, right runway." So you land, and then you keep moving because you got other airplanes landing behind you because it's so busy.
Yeah.
They don't want people talking on the radio. They'll just say, "All right, high-wing Cessna, rock your wings. All right, follow the Piper Cub in front of you," or something like that.
Yeah, so that's and that's also too why if you're an inexperienced pilot, don't fly in there.
Yeah, because it's very precise flying. There's a lot of other airplanes in a very, very small area. You could have an airplane, half a mile ahead of you, and an airplane half a mile behind you. Pretty easy. And so you got to make sure you're doing the right thing, that you're not clogging up the radio when they're trying to talk to other people.
Is it like aerial acrobatics, or I don't even know what you call it, but are the airplanes doing like tricks or something?
Well, we're talking
the ones flying in.
The ones in the show, not the ones flying in.
I'm like the ones flying in better not be.
No,
what we're talking about right now is just the arrival procedure.
Yeah, I know.
But yes, during the air show they do tricks and acrobatics and all that. Aerobatics, aerobatics, not acrobatics.
Yeah.
Sorry, aerobatics. Really?
Well, I didn't want. I started to say it to him. I thought maybe I shouldn't bring it up, but I just thought the guy who got killed from the Leeward Air Ranch. Remember, he was in an air show out west, wasn't he? Somewhere?
Yes.
And then,
it was an air race.
Oh, that was a race.
That was an air race.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is that kind of thing at this show?
They don't do. Well, they have an air race at Lakeland, but it's not for the high performance airplanes. That it's just kind of an amateur air race that they do.
Really?
Yeah, I read about it. It's like they do it on Wednesday morning, and it's not a I don't know what you'd call it, but it's a timed race basically. So you're racing against the time.
Oh, okay.
Not necessarily against other airplanes. So it's not as close quarters with other airplanes. A little bit safer and everything like that. So and it's like I think it's like 20 miles, and they do this thing, and so.
Okay. Oh, I wanted to, because we had our listener Hugh last week that called in, very nice gentleman, and I thought, and Dan and I had this conversation, that he was talking about his grandson. He said his grandson was just getting out of high school, right? Well, Russ, and I guess the gentleman's name is Russ, who is Hugh's stepson, had come in and talked to us. So I was confused if he was talking about Russ, his stepson, or if he was talking about somebody else's grandson. So just for either of Hugh or Russ or whoever is listening, if you guys need clarification on what it takes to get the license, let me know.
Okay.
Because Russ came in and talked to me like 2 weeks ago.
And he was interested?
Yes.
Okay.
And but when Hugh said I thought he said his grandson was interested. And either of them are still available to learn and get their commercial license and go through all the training.
Okay.
So, and if your stepson is not over 24, then he's available for the scholarship also. So, all of our listeners and their sons and their grandsons and daughters and all that are all available for the scholarship as long as they're 24 or less.
If they go through the
17.
courses to the point where they can actually be hired as a pilot, where would they work?
Wherever they want.
Okay.
I mean, and that's
could they stay here? Are there enough jobs here?
Well, it depends on what they want to do. I mean, if they want to become a flight instructor, if they want to be a corporate pilot, they want to be a puddle jumper, if they want to work a regional or an international or cargo, the possibilities are endless. If they want to do airlines, you're not going to live in Ocala and do airlines. Your commute would be horrible.
But I know
that, and you can't jump straight from getting your commercial license right into being an airline pilot.
No, it takes a lot of time. I'm just saying, in general, eventually you move on to that if your ultimate goal is to do airline, you're not going to live in Ocala doing airline.
There was a guy in Bellevue who was a pilot, an airline pilot. He was
yes.
But
he doesn't do it out of Ocala. He commutes down to Orlando,
and most of the airline pilots didn't start flying for the airline in Ocala. They were what they call a reserve pilot, where basically they have to live within half an hour of their hub airport.
Yeah. Somebody calls in sick or drunk.
Exactly,
or something?
And then you go drunk. you go, and once they've worked up their way in the ranks a little bit, then they're able to become a scheduled line pilot, and they can move farther away.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. So. Good morning. You're on there with Josh and Brad.
Good morning. I saw the funniest aviation video ever on TV last night, and I thought about you guys. I wanted to call you.
Great.
It was a young kid, and it looked like he was in his 20s, and he had a little Cessna or something, and he was flying, and he had his friend with him, and he had the video recorder going, and the pilot pretended to faint.
Oh, yeah.
He leaned over in the cockpit and leaned against the window like he had passed out. And his friend was in the back screaming like a little girl and poking him and saying, "Wake up, wake up, wake up." Well, the kid was just pranking his friend. And now, personally, I would have punched that guy in the nose as soon as we landed, but that's not why I called. I know you two guys are consummate professionals. I mean, you would never do anything like that. But have you ever heard of anybody pulling a stunt like that? And I'll just hang up and listen on the radio. Thank you.
Thank you. I have heard about that video, and I can't imagine any of our guys. I haven't heard of any of them doing anything like that. Now, I have heard of them, when they have a friend in the plane, they will do some maneuvers, legal maneuvers, but some just like, putting the nose down so you kind of float up a little bit. I've heard them doing stuff like that to people, not students, but I don't know of anybody that actually faked like they were fainted, because if so, they would not be good in my book, doing that to students.
Yeah, definitely not to students.
Yeah, you don't do anything like that to students. And to friends, I'm not condoning making your friend have a heart attack, But I don't know if they did it, they would actually tell me because they know they'd probably get in trouble with me.
Yeah.
So, Josh, do you know of anybody that you want to...
No.
Okay, that's what I thought.
No. I would never do anything like that.
No.
Always a professional, especially with students and with young renters.
Did your monitor just fall?
It did. The monitor just fell, yeah. But I don't know why there's a square in the middle, but that's the video. It's only 30 seconds long, and there's no sound, so I guess that's it.
Oh, that's pretty funny.
That's the one. I guess there's probably some screaming going on right about now.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Hey, I was gonna... Why don't you mention your good news there?
Oh, yes. I had a student solo this week. We want to congratulate Richard Hancock, who soloed for the first time this week, which basically means he flew the airplane by himself without the instructor in it. So that's pretty exciting for him.
Yes, excellent job.
Yep.
Yes. No, we were talking about the getting the license, and he had asked a question before the phone rang, and I was trying to remember exactly what it was about getting the commercial license, and I just totally blanked on that.
I don't know.
I know you don't. I was hoping that somebody would jog the memory there.
Nope.
No? Okay, I appreciate that. But, oh, this isn't it, but as far as getting a job, the big thing is what people want to do is what you want to remember is people are always like, well, how quick can I get a job? You can get a job fairly quick. You don't necessarily want a job quickly when it comes to aviation. What I mean is a few years ago when they were really hiring a bunch of people, I mean, there was a huge hiring, and you had people getting hired at 500 and 600 hours, which they never should have. When we had a few of our students that waited, I mean, we had one that was at like 1,500, we had one that was at 2,000. And the difference is the gentleman that waited for 2,000 hours still has a job. The guy that did it at 600 doesn't have a job.
Why?
Because they're the first to let go.
Yeah,
when you have more hours, you have a better pick of the jobs. When you don't have enough hours, you're going to get picked into somebody that isn't necessarily looking for somebody to stick around.
And what the airlines do sometimes is they'll hire 50 people and have 10 positions available.
Okay. Do your hours continue to accumulate all of your career?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So they'll hire 50 people and send 50 people through their training in the simulators and everything like that, and immediately start weeding people out until they got the 10 top out of the 50. So you go and you get this job, and you relocate up to their training base for a couple weeks or a couple months, depending on how long you last, and then you end up without a job again, back to where you were before. So
it makes it a lot harder, but also you just have your better pick, because if you've got, let's say, 1,000 hours, there's not as many airlines that are willing to hire you, whereas if you have 2,000. And like I said, the gentleman that had the 2,000, he waited, he found he wanted to work out of Atlanta, he was able to get a job out of Atlanta. We have other students that went through and we're like, don't go for it yet, don't go, and they got up to like Wisconsin or Minnesota. I think there's anything wrong with those places, but when you're from Florida and now they're stuck up there because that's where their job, because they didn't wait to get enough hours to get a better job.
Right.
And you have to remember that you have to be patient in aviation to get what you want.
So are the number of hours qualified by the types of planes that you earn those hours in?
No.
Really?
No. It's
you got 2,000 hours in a little plane and you might be qualified for a jet?
No. It doesn't mean you're qualified for a jet. It just means you have that many hours. It doesn't mean you're a good pilot.
Oh, okay.
To fly those planes, you can't, you have to at least to get a job, you have to have commercial, which means you actually have to have some complex time. You have to go through the ratings. If you've got 2,000 hours over 20 years, that doesn't mean you're a great pilot. If you've got 2,000 hours over 2 years, it doesn't mean you're a great pilot. You just have to have minimums before they'll take you. It's kind of like when you go for a job and they say minimum 5 years experience. Well, just because you have 5 years experience doesn't mean you're any good at that job.
So you don't go to a party and brag about your hours, do you? Do you stand around trying to impress women and say, yeah, I got 6,000 hours?
I don't think they would care.
Yeah, they wouldn't.
Because it doesn't mean anything. Well, first off, they wouldn't know what it meant. I don't mean they don't know what it meant, but unless you're in the aviation community, it doesn't mean anything. Oh, we have people that come into our flight school, I got 100,000 hours. I'm like,
100,000?
Okay. Yeah. Oh, we have people
that. Is that possible?
Unlikely.
Well, it's unlikely.
It's possible, but it's unlikely.
Unless they're fairly old. We have some that have in the 50s and 60,000 range, but still it doesn't make them a great Cessna pilot. They'll come in, I can fly your plane because I got 60,000 hours in a 737. Well, that doesn't mean you're a good pilot in a 172.
You're going the other direction,
yeah. It's one of those you have to, and you have some that come in and say, you know what, I haven't flown a small plane in 20 years, I need your help. You have others that come in, oh, I can do it because I'm good. And you have to, aviation, you have to have the right attitude.
And I'm sorry, airline pilots, I've done rental checkouts for a bunch of them.
Right.
Just because they have, 10,000 hours in a Boeing 737 does not mean that they can fly a Cessna. Actually, usually they're pretty crappy at landing a Cessna.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It's just so much different. I mean, not saying that people fly a Cessna can fly a 737 either,
right,
but
right.
it's,
Are they more dependent on computers than the big planes?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a lot more that happens.
There's a lot more systems to manage. There's a lot more calculations that are done by automated flight management systems and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And also just the controls are different. They're wired differently. You've got airplanes that are fly-by-wire now, where there's no cables attached. Basically, the computer interprets what the control yoke is doing, and based on that, they activate servos in the control surfaces.
Wow.
Yeah.
Some use hydraulics and everything like that. Our small airplanes are almost exclusively either. I just lost my train of thought. Thanks for that. Brad threw a paper airplane, and I completely. Ours are almost exclusively controlled by cables or push rods in the smaller airplanes. Mm-hmm. So that's different control field altogether.
Yeah, well, then when you're saying, is one pilot better than another? I mean, you've got, people that can fly Cessna. You got people that can fly these, the experimental, not the experimentals, like the
Warbirds.
What is that one called? An extra.
An aerobatic airplane.
An aerobatic airplane. You have these pilots that can go and fly into jungles and land, on a strip that's 200 feet long. I mean, they all are good pilots.
200 feet. 200 feet's a little.
That's what Josh is going to be doing soon, right?
Short.
We don't on those videos. I've seen videos.
Isn't that what you're going to be doing when you?
Yeah.
But he's saying 200 feet isn't quite.
Yeah. Usually they're.
He's only needs 50 feet to land.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying is they're all good in their own ways. The guys that fly and can land that, they can't necessarily fly a 737. A guy that flies a 737. And so they all, and that's why I said, when you said, what can you do? It's endless.
Well, and I hope my question wasn't so wacky. Because I would think the average person listening would think, okay, so the way you gauge somebody's experience and therefore how good they are is how many hours they have.
To a point.
Yes, you need hours. You need experience.
You expect people with more hours to have more experience, hands-on, and more knowledge about flying than people that have less hours, but it really depends on how those hours were accumulated. For example, I've got people who come in that've got 5,000, 6,000, 8,000 hours, and I've got 1,500 hours. But I've done all mine in the last 3 years, where they might have done theirs over the last 10 years. Okay. So out of the two of us, I would be the one more proficient in flying an airplane and also more up to speed on all the current aviation knowledge. And we just got hung up on, I think.
I don't know.
I don't know. But
is this something
so it really depends on how recent their experience is, what kind of experience they have, and everything like that. Yeah. If that makes any sense.
That's why I was asking, is the number of hours qualified by what you earn the numbers on in what kind of
Not necessarily what in, but how recent the hours were done.
So, okay.
Yep.
So if it was a Cessna, obviously 1,000 hours in a Cessna, you don't qualify in any way for anything. Well,
it depends on what. Yeah.
If you're going for a job at an airline and you've got 1,500 hours, I mean, they're not going to go, well, it was an assessment, so your 1,500 hours don't count. It does count. It's the training that you have to have aside from that, because everybody has to have time. If you fly for an airline, you're going to have 1,000 or 1,500 hours in assessment because you got to build your time before you can go get a job in a bigger plane.
Gotcha. Yeah.
You don't build 1,000 hours in a big plane to go get a job. Nobody has that kind of money.
Does being on the air qualify? Because I've never been in the air, just on the air.
Oh, sure. So you got like, what, 100,000 hours?
I don't know.
Of airtime. See, just airtime.
Airtime, yeah.
It all depends on how you put it in your logbook, I guess.
You guys do a great job.
Don't put that in your logbook.
So the air show's tomorrow. You're going tomorrow. It's today too, right?
Yes.
It's every day.
Yeah. Well, it's through April 9th through 14th.
Okay. All right. A couple more days. Thanks, guys. You want to give your phone number so people can call you and bug you?
Go ahead, Josh. I don't think you've ever given our phone.
Bring you chicken wings.
I did last year, or a couple shows ago when I was the only one on the show. Anyhow, give us a call at 352-861-7484, or
Go ahead.
Email us at ocalaaviation at is that it? Yeah, ocalaaviation at yahoo.com, or go to our website, ocalaaviation.com.
Ask about the Discovery flights, the scholarships, learning to fly, commercial pilots, all that good stuff.
All right. Thank you, guys. Have fun at the air show, and we'll see you next week.
Alrighty, sir.
We'll take a little break and be right back.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA. Ocala.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Life jackets save lives. Where at Florida? Clouds and limited sun today, warm but humid with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm, high 83 to 87. Partly to mostly cloudy tonight with a shower or thunderstorm in the area, though 64 to 68.